If you're a fan of the Tennessee Titans, the Install Live Show with Greg Cosell of NFL Films coming up Saturday, May the 20th at the Hutton Hotel. Get your tickets right now at 1045thezone.com to hear the best breakdown of Will Levis.
Really, really excited and thankful for the opportunity.
And the rest of the Titans draft class.
I don't even know where to begin this morning. Is it with the affront that I walked into the studio with these faceless little stuffed animals all over the place? Is it Bert jump scaring me coming up the handicap ramp on the way to work today while somebody else, who we have no idea who he is, waits behind him? Looking down at his phone as if this is a normal thing that goes on in any other workplace in America.
Just another hump day.
I don't know where I want to go. We got a lot of stuff to do. We got the dumbest thing in sports this week. It's at 11 o'clock. Make sure you've got your submissions ready. What do you have to say for yourself?
Did I get you?
No, you didn't get me.
Yeah,
I think he did.
I have some evidence to prove otherwise.
There is evidence.
There's video.
That he got you.
Is there video of the man? Again, we do not know who this person is. Leaving probably work for the day. He probably had to get up at some god-awful hour this morning to do, 6 a.m. country radio. Or whichever station that he works at. Whoever this person is, he is sitting there walking out of the building, sitting on his phone, and I'm coming up the ramp. I think he stopped to let me up the ramp because this individual is just looking at his phone and has stopped clear in his path. But no, there it is, a red-headed bridge troll down on all fours with a phone sticking up at me. Going, rawr.
It's not so much video evidence as it is audio evidence because, the camera's just pointed at the ground the whole time.
Oh, you dope.
He just wanted to capture it in some way. His priority was to jump scare you, not to get it on video.
Lucas gets it.
Bert's life is not about content. It's about the little things. It's about finding those moments.
And then I got to deal with these damn stuffed animals in here.
Okay,
what are these mutant things?
Why are you so upset about the stuffed animals in the
Because they're
studio?
everywhere.
I can't figure that out.
The whole purpose, not the whole purpose, but the whole reason I was so excited for the new studio is oh my God, there's nothing in it. It's beautiful. It's clean. There's no clutter. There's no lunch boxes that Slay is keeping all manner of trash in.
That's not true. There's one right in front of you. That
Full of
lunchbox
Chick-fil-A sauce.
has been there since the day we moved in.
That's not true. The lunchbox at least took several weeks. You know what? It's my fault. I made an exception for the lunchbox. I felt bad about the first time that I threw the lunchbox away. I said, you know what? I'm not going to take this fight to Slay again. I'm going to let the lunchbox sit. Then all of a sudden a Bill Dance hat appears. Then all of a sudden there's a orange and white streamer in here.
Proud of you for knowing who Bill Dance is.
A Smokey the Hound golf club, whatever you put on the top of golf clubs. I don't know what those things are called.
Smokey the Hound. Yep, that's what he's called.
Whatever. Whatever. I'm pissed. Enough with the stuffed animals. We are grown adults. Why is this studio populated with stuffed animals? And then these footballs and rugby balls with faces that are staring at me like dumb idiots. Get out of here.
Would you be this cranky if Bert hadn't jump scared you this morning?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't. I don't think so. I think that's what did it.
You also missed one. You came in here in a rage of terror, just throwing the balls everywhere.
I literally launched one at the glass. And then Gronk spiked the rugby ball.
Well, you've missed one. There's one still staring at you.
Where? Where is it?
I'm not going to let you know.
I don't like this.
Oh, the F&M Bank chat is loving your Smokey the Hound reference.
No! Leave him alone! No!
Leave him alone!
Boo!
Get him outta
Everyone
here.
in your cars, boo this man! Boo!
Get him out of here. Stupid tennis ball.
Honk if you're booing Buck.
Honk!
On the highway right now, it's just honks.
Oh my God, is he
emanating
okay?
He's wheezing.
It was like he was wheezing, fading into the shadows instead of screaming as I sent him away. God almighty. Dylan Elam says at least 50 people saw it before Buck on the Zone TV chat. That
Just
damn
lurking
tennis ball.
behind you.
Lurking. Anyway, good morning. 615-737-1045. Smokey the Hound.
It's just Smokey. He is a hound, but it's
He is
just
a hound
Smokey.
dog. Smokey. Get out of here.
Sounds like a cartoon character.
He can get out of here too. Buck is more hated right now than Todd Downing, says D Good. I don't care. Todd doesn't have to deal with this kind of ridiculousnert around him. You know, just law enforcement from time to time. Either way, we have a lot to get done today. We're happy to have you guys here. Bert, I don't know how many more times. Is this going to be a daily thing? Like, is it just, am I going to have to go through my day at any given point? I'm only in this building for 3 hours. 3 hours at any given point, 5 days a week. Am I going to have to spend my time looking for you in different places while you try to jump scare me?
I mean, it's not going to be every day, right, Bert? Because that's the whole point. It's to keep you on edge. He's going to pick his moment. He does it every day, then you're expecting it, and your head, it doesn't affect you as much.
You're lucky I didn't launch the bowl that I was holding. I had to eat my breakfast in the car on the way over here because I was running behind. I was going to wash this stuff out in the break room, and I almost launched it in his head.
You were eating cereal in the car?
No.
Oatmeal?
No.
Egg whites?
Yes.
That's gross. Anybody that listen, that's an ick of mine. You know how you hear girls all the time talk about icks?
Mm-hmm.
Here's one of my icks. If you bring a bowl or a cup or any kind of apparatus used like as a vehicle to move something that don't belong in a car, that's an ick for me. I don't mind the water bottles or the whatever you're taking. Say you're going to the gym, you're going to take some water with you. That's fine. But if you bring an open face cup, if you bring a bowl, a Cool Whip container full of taco meat, any of that, that's an ick for me. None of that stuff needs to be in your car.
I don't ever do that. I was just in a rush today, and I wanted to make sure that I ate something.
I've been in your car multiple times and seen Cool Whip bowls.
You've never been in my car once anywhere with food because the one time that you tried, it was a gas station corn dog, and all it took was a look to keep you away from my car as you consumed it in 0.5 seconds.
One bite.
That's my ick.
I do it all again. I wouldn't change a damn thing.
You eating a corn dog the way that a pelican might is my ick. Okay, you want to talk to me about icks? You want to know what my ick is? My ick is a 29-year-old man on all fours on a handicap ramp waiting to scare somebody on their way to work today. That's what if it wasn't me? What if it wasn't me?
Would have been
somebody who needed that ramp?
Would have been better, honestly. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's what I
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Pam. Sorry, Pam.
Like, it's one thing when you know Bert and you work with him every day and you're like, oh, he got me. But imagine just not knowing this man.
But like the person who was walking behind him on his way out of the office today.
But being the person that he jump scares, mistakenly thinking that it's you.
It's like when you're in the movies or on a TV show, right, when they're having a surprise party and somebody walks in too early and they say, oh, we wasted the good surprise on you. But how many times is Bert practicing his jump scare before I actually show up to work on people who are just walking by in the hallway trying to get a cup of coffee from the break room.
I'm a pro, man. I've been scaring people. I had a grandma, God rest her soul, who I scared so bad one time she fell down a load of stairs.
Oh, my God.
So I've been scared for a long time. Now I know when to do it, when not to do it. I've got a pretty good handle on the environment around scaring.
That's not how she passed.
No. She just fell down a bunch of stairs. She was scared of snakes, and I put a snake on the stairs, and she went, ah, and then you just heard.
Rest in peace.
Oh, my God.
Well, she doesn't know that. She doesn't know I put the snake there.
You tried to kill your grandmother.
No, I was trying to scare her. There's a difference.
Someone in the YouTube chat just said, so Bert killed his grandma.
No.
This is the narrative that we're running with.
Prove it.
I mean, you just did. You're the one who said it in a microphone.
She didn't do it like that, man.
What? What collection of words did you just try to string
I
together
said,
in your frustration?
She didn't do it like that. That ain't how she went.
Okay, well, we don't need to rehash.
Went in a wheelbarrow.
So Treylon Burks talked yesterday.
It was almost 24 hours ago. How am I supposed to take it seriously now? I've been jump scared. I've been harassed by stuffed animals. I'm over it already. And we're 11 minutes into the show. 615-737-1045 is how you join the conversation. Trippin' Titan says, I used to scare people when I was younger. Nowadays, no way. Too many armed family members. Good God. I mean, come on. Dylan Elam says, Nashville Police Department is listening, Bert. Yeah, we have a lot of police officers, thank you for your service, that listen to this show on a regular basis.
Shout out Paxton.
It's out of their jurisdiction. Y'all don't need to worry about what's going on in North Carolina. Worry about what's going on right here in good old Nashville. Plus,
You're what's going on in good old Nashville as you proudly proclaimed yourself after a year of living here that you are now from here. You're no longer from North Carolina. Now you're from Tennessee.
Right now, until I move back home, and then I'll be from there. Like, if somebody says, where are you from? My house. Where is your house at? It is here. I am from here.
Nobody says that.
You're supposed to be on my side.
I am usually on your side. But when somebody asks where you're from, nobody says my house.
You know why he's saying that? Because he's actually from here, and he's one of these people that hates people like us, Bert.
Damn transplants.
Dude, did I just come around to Buck's side? Did we just have a seismic shift in the
because you tried to scare me this morning, and I'm going to send you away to the shadows for it. Go.
Wait, I can still be... No, I can scare Lucas. No!
We're going to talk about Treylon Burks coming up next. Welcome back to the show. I suppose we should talk sports at some point today, even though the F&M Bank chat is suggesting that we are better boys when we're not talking about sports. I don't know what that says about us. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Better boys?
Huh?
Is that what it said?
No, I said that we are better boys.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was referring to us like dogs in the chat.
I feel like I'm a better boy, like not here. Like
Well, you said
I'm
that was strange.
a way more behaved boy at home.
That's not true.
That is true.
No, because I have a distinct and unique look at your home life on a regular basis for about an hour and a half every Sunday through Thursday night. And the things that I see through the prism of your girlfriend, Cheyenne, they horrify me.
Look, just because
You
you
want to
get to
explain to people what the hell happened to your bathroom situation the other night? You want to talk about this?
Don't you always tell me to lay off the bathroom humor? No one finds it funny. No one wants to know how big it was. Stop sending me pictures.
Yeah, didn't you open this segment saying, why don't we talk sports? And then tee up Bert for something
Then
about
you're
the
like,
bathroom?
want to tell them about your duty? Like, come on. Come on, Buck. Be better.
Your
I'm
own
just
worst enemy.
saying, in the same way that Lucas has to be held accountable for the Levis slander that was propagated on these airwaves for the better part of 3 months, QB1, you also need to be held accountable when you lie to people actively and say that you're a better person at home than you are at work.
When have we ever believed in accountability on this show?
It's a rare enough thing. But at some point, there will be accountability in some way, shape, or form. It'll probably be us getting fired, if we're being honest, because we've been talking about how actively our time spent at work is more, about throwing stuffed animals across rooms and jump scaring people than it is actually doing the jobs that they pay us to do. Anyway, Treylon Burks is paid to catch touchdowns. Treylon Burks only caught one last year. He did have a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but on the whole, 11 games, 33 catches, 444 yards. There have been plenty of rookie seasons that have not lived up to expectation. There have been plenty of rookie seasons that have fallen short of what you thought this particular player might be on your favorite team. Treylon Burks walked into a buzzsaw last year, yeah? Like there was no real way, unless this dude was the second coming of Jerry Rice, that he was going to be able to get a fair shake from both people who were evaluating the Titans offense with him and people who were trying to manifest him into the next A.J. Brown. He walked into a buzzsaw last year.
From the jump, like on draft night. Yes.
So the Treylon Burks experience has been, fraught with a variety of different things that have bogged him down. One, that he doesn't have to deal with this year. Two, the asthma situation, which he talked about yesterday in his press conference, saying that he has a much better handle on right now. And three, the general condition that he was in. Treylon Burks yesterday was exactly what Mike Vrabel wanted him to be. He was humble about it. He deferred to, you'll have to ask the coaches about things revolving around the offense. And he said of his teammates, he's just happy to be there, to be the best Titan he can be, and all these other things, right? All the media talking points, he hit it on the head. But in talking to us, he gave some pretty insightful looks at how much different this year, coming into this season, was versus last year for him. Even more so than the average rookie might be. So Treylon Burks was asked about, just his general feel on this offseason and how, how much different it was for him at this point last year versus where he's at this May. This was Treylon Burks at the podium yesterday.
I mean, I feel great. Running fast, not having any problems with breathing, and really just having fun, man. I'm in a good place, state of mind, and I'm just thankful.
You look like you've added a little bit of muscle too. Is that the case?
Yeah. I would just say, man, I've been here the whole off season. I didn't go train out in the beach or anything. I stayed here. I wanted to stay around the facility and just bond, make a connection with the coaches, but also just get ahead on the things that I know that I'm going to be doing in the off season. So now it's just like I've already did it. Past couple months, it's nothing new to me. So
that's Treylon Burks talking about just generally breathing easier. Turns out that matters.
Literally.
I mean, it looked like he was physically, literally, metaphorically speaking, breathing easier at the podium when we saw him, a year ago at this time. So how, setting expectations for him, however you want to do this, whether you need him to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver in year 2 or whatever metrics you want to judge Treylon Burks by. He seems to be in a much more comfortable situation for a variety of different reasons that's going to allow him to play into a theme that Mike Vrabel keeps bringing up. A theme, by the way, which we decided this morning as a show, we feel like we've been loudly misreading on the idea of playing faster, rarely being the fastest team on a field of play, according to Mike Vrabel on Locker Room Cleanout Day. We'll kind of flesh that out a little bit later on. But I think for Treylon Burks, the asthma part of this is it's pretty important for the amount of time that he missed, because he had to be held out of minicamp. He had to be held out of OTAs. He came back at training camp, and, everything looked like it was in a much better place by the time they had the summer, and he had spent more time conditioning in just the literal conditions that exist in Nashville, Tennessee, that he was going to be experiencing by the time they all get back together in late July. So, the best version of Treylon Burks, one would assume, is yet to come. What that looks like exactly, we have no idea, because the sample size has been so limited. But it does get you excited about, can he just get to a place where he can function more consistently on a play-in, play-out, day-in, day-out basis. That's what you need from Treylon Burks in year 2. You don't need to lump all these Pro Bowl or loft all these Pro Bowl aspirations or all-pro aspirations on him just because the guy before him did it. That I think is a mistake that's going to be made. He needs to be a productive player for this football team in more than 11 games.
Jonah on the F&M Bank chat says, if you tell me Treylon plays all 17 games, he's a 1,000-yard receiver easily.
Okay, but I don't even care about the counting stats other than the number of games. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago when we were taking a look at wide receivers that existed on the roster. I need to see 15 games. I would love to see 15 games. That would make me feel a lot better about Treylon Burks in year 2. And then what he does with that sample size, then we can make a better judgment, right?
But you do care about the counting stats, right?
Well,
because if he's playing in 15 games, he's there to produce.
I don't care the most about that particular counting stat. Like, a 1,000-yard receiver is a very high bar, even though it's a passing league, even though we have an extra regular season game.
Sure,
1,000-yard. But if you told me Treylon Burks, 444 last year, right? 444, one touchdown.
444 in 11 games.
Right. One touchdown. We'll give him 2 just because he had the fumble recovery touchdown. Who fumbled that ball? Was that Derek?
It was Derek.
Derek fumbled that ball. Okay.
Against Cincinnati.
So, we'll give him the second touchdown just because he made a play. If I get 750 yards out of Treylon Burks and 4 touchdowns, people are going to be pissed?
There's so many other factors that work into that.
Sure. But, if you want to do counting stats, I'm doing counting stats. If I get 750 yards out of Treylon Burks and 4 touchdowns on the season, is that going to, fall short of expectation for a dude who we haven't seen do anything more than 1 touchdown, 444 yards in 11 games?
How many games did he play in that hypothetical season?
Let's make it 15.
Sure, that's fine.
Right?
You said 754?
750 yards, 4 touchdowns.
In 15 games, that would be 50 yards per game.
That's fine. Right? Now, counting stats matter, and are they trailing in the game versus, did he have a 50-yard reception that put him ahead early and allowed them to run Derrick Henry and bleed the clock and play Titans defense and all these different things? Yes, the game situations matter. And was he Treylon Burks against Green Bay? Or was he Treylon Burks in a later game against the Bengals where he did produce, but it wasn't enough, and they had all kinds of other miscues and errors?
Derek on the F&M Bank chat says 750 over 4, or 750 and 4, I suppose, 4 touchdowns is a rough wide receiver 1.
Okay, well, he was literally asked, is your goal to establish yourself as wide receiver 1 in this offense? And he said, no, sir, my goal is to go out there and make plays and be the best player for this football team that I can. So he's not interested in your wide receiver one aspirations either. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a difference between how fans are going to talk about him and how he's being looked at in the facility. And our job is to kind of bridge the two, right? So I would like to see a much larger sample size of Treylon Burks. I would like to see him produce in that much larger sample size before I can make any kind of grand assessments about the player that Treylon Burks is. Because right now, I have no idea. No idea. Other than a couple plays here or there in a really, really nice game against Green Bay. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. What are your expectations for Treylon Burks? Because, see, I mean, look at, and, you know, the F&M Bank chat is not the arbiter of all things, but Amar says he needs at least 1,000 yards. There are other people saying 1,000-yard wide receiver. 750 for 4 is a rough wide receiver 1, as you mentioned earlier.
I mean, who's wide receiver 1 for you right now? Like, yeah, Burks was diplomatic when they asked him, is your goal to be wide receiver 1? He's not going to come out and say, yes, I want to be the number 1 guy on this team. I want the ball every single play. I guess he could say that, but he's a little more diplomatic than that. Is he wide receiver 1 right now in this room?
Not based on the sample size. It's NWI. Based on time spent, based on games played. He didn't produce like this. Again, the counting stats are not wide receiver 1, but if you're asking me who has consistently been wide receiver 1 on the Titans in the absence of Robert Woods, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Your 4-year man out of Indiana, the undrafted rookie free agent, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
Okay, based on what we have seen, yes, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has more catches and more yards than Treylon Burks. He's been in the league longer. But based on upside, based on investment, the first-round pick, the salary.
Not doing upside. If I'm doing upside, I'm doing a Caleb Farley argument, and I'm tired of those.
Then I phrased the question wrong. Not who is wide receiver 1 right now, but who needs to be wide receiver 1 for the Titans this year. Is it Nick Westbrook-Ikhine?
No. It's Treylon Burks.
And so if
who needs to be versus who has been, it's been NWI.
If you're wide receiver 1, that number you threw out, the hypothetical number, 750, 4 touchdowns over 15 games, those are his numbers as your lead receiver. How successful is this Titans passing attack?
I'm sorry, say the question again.
If your leading receiver in that hypothetical scenario is Treylon Burks with 750 yards and 4 touchdowns in 15 games, how much of a step forward did this Titans offense probably take in the passing game?
Considerable, given that Robert Woods topped out at, just over 450 last year? And again, the counting stats are not the most important statistics, but this is an obviously deficient passing game in the last couple of years that needs to take a step forward. And I see people getting bent out of shape because I said, Jonah says, dude just said NWI is wide receiver 1. Please stop, Buck. Based on the sample size that I have been presented of these people, who have I seen play more games, who have I seen do more, who have I seen be a larger and longer part of the Titans offense for no other reason than he's been out there. He played in all damn 17 games last year.
And he's also been here like 3 extra years.
That's what I'm saying.
Or 2 extra years.
I'm not doing, it's not a Madden rating, for God's sakes. If you're asking me based on what I have seen from these players on a field of play, I have to default with the most known commodity. And the most damn known commodity in that wide receiver room is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, whether you like it or not. So, you can get all butthurt about how I just phrased that, but based on the question that I was asked, that's how I'm viewing this thing.
Okay, yes. If the question is who is the most productive receiver returning for the Titans, I guess it would actually be Chris Moore, who had a more productive season than any of them last year. But that's not the question Titans fans care about because they know the answer to that question. Okay. The question they care about is who needs to be wide receiver 1.
Treylon Burks needs to be wide receiver 1. No, I'm not disputing that. No. But I think those are two different scenarios that you just posed for me. He needs to be wide receiver 1. Is he right now? Not based on what he's done. Based on what? Appearing in 11 games, 444 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and you want me to call him wide receiver 1 just because he got drafted in the first round? Get the bleep out of here.
That's the expectation. That
is not. I'm tired of expectation. That's the whole damn thing with this godforsaken football team. I'm tired of expectations around players who have high potential that don't damn pan out.
Nobody is saying he has earned that. Everybody's saying that is what he is expected to do, and the guy's been in the league 1 year as a first-round pick. It's a completely fair thing to say. It's not his fault Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been in the league 3 extra years.
Sure, it's also not his fault he got concussed and had turf toe. I'm not blaming him for not being available in those specific instances. But I'm saying if you're asking me what I've seen from these guys versus what they need to be, sure, Treylon Burks needs to be the top wide receiver in that group. He may end up being. But, like, if you come back to me next year and Chris Moore ends up having more receiving touchdowns than Treylon Burks or something like that and says, well, Treylon Burks disappointed, but Treylon Burks was far more impactful on the game, it's a completely different discussion that we're having. So I think, expectations versus reality are what we're dealing with in this wide receiver room right now. Now, the benefit for Treylon Burks is that people have zero expectations whatsoever around this wide receiver room. Nobody is thinking about a wide receiver room less than the Tennessee Titans, whether that's locally, other than fans who are pissed off about the lack of talent in the wide receiver room. But nationally, we've talked about these things over and over, consistently ranked, if not 32nd, 31st, right? In terms of collective talent that exists there. That doesn't mean that that's how they'll end up performing. But these are the kind of things that you're working through right now.
Agent S. says wide receiver 1 refers to who is on the roster and the offense is centered around. NWI is not the focal point of the Titans' passing attack.
Well, sure, but don't tell me that Treylon Burks was.
So Derrick Henry?
It's Derrick Henry.
How is he going to be wide receiver? I don't think that's true.
Henry is the focal point of the Titans' offense, but we're talking about the focal point of the Titans' passing attack. It needs to be Treylon Burks.
Yes. We can all agree upon that. AG is in Nashville up next. Hey, AG.
Oh, yes, sir. I feel like Kyle Phillips, I feel like he can really surprise some people. Because last year he was doing, before he got hurt, if he can stay healthy, man, I'm looking forward to Kyle Phillips having a real good year. And I think that we could possibly be underrating the Titans wide receiver room. That's all I got.
Well, people are literally rating them 32. So it would be impossible to rate them any worse than people are currently rating them right now. But I understand what you're saying.
That's what the Titans are telling us, right? Like, this group is better than you think it is.
Yeah, we talked about that, right? The lack of urgency around it would indicate that they think they've got more than we're giving them credit for. And that may well be so. I tend to believe them that way because I've not seen the two players that we're talking about mostly in this segment, Treylon Burks, and the caller just brought up Kyle Phillips. He mentioned Kyle Phillips looked like he was trending in the right direction before he ended up missing a fair amount of time. Do you know how many games, and I've got these in front of me, do you know how many games Kyle Phillips appeared in last year?
Well, he did not have an impact in any game other than the season opener, but I will say he appeared in 5.
I'll go 3.
Split the difference 4. He had 8 receptions for 78 yards, and the bulk of that came against the New York Giants, in which he had 6 receptions, 9 targets, and a total of 62 yards.
6 of his 8 catches were in week 1.
That's correct.
Before he got hurt.
Sure. And then he got blowed up and his shoulder didn't work and he didn't come back. He appeared for a snap. 1 target, 1 reception, 5 yards against the Bills. Then missed week 3 against the Raiders. Was out on the field, got targeted once, had no receptions, no yards against the Colts. 1 reception, 7 yards against the Commanders, and then we did not see him again for the rest of the season.
You said he got 9 targets in that Giants game?
9 targets.
What's the highest number of targets you think Chig got last season?
I will say 6.
6 against the Jags in the second game. In the first game against Jacksonville.
But so we talked about things that we thought we knew were true after training camp, right? What did we think we knew? We thought we knew that Ryan Tannehill and Austin Hooper were going to be able to get it together, and that was going to make a difference. And it really didn't end up making a difference. He had a couple of third down conversions that ended up mattering, but on the whole, it took him forever to get involved in the offense and never really manifested the way that we thought we saw.
Talking about Chig?
No, I'm talking about Hooper.
Oh, Hooper, right.
Hooper and Tannehill, well, that was one of the bigger talking points from camp. Oh, he actually has a tight end he can work with now.
And Phillips was too. Like, Phillips getting 9 targets in week 1 was very consistent with what we saw in training camp.
Correct. That was one of those, because like the Hooper thing was a mirage, right? By the time we got to the season. But Phillips was one thing that we thought we knew about the Titans heading out of training camp. And then, the evidence against the Giants was, oh, this guy is a really effective player. But as soon as that, and, I don't know. The shoulder situation was obviously serious enough to keep him out for a considerable amount of time after they tried to bring him back. Did he have an IR stint?
I think he did. I think Kyle Phillips had 1 IR stint. I mean, it feels
'Cause
like
he was- but
everybody had an IR.
Because
stint.
everybody kept putting him in the group that was going to get to come back. And then once the numbers started
That's right.
to dwindle, we were like, oh, Kyle Phillips is not coming back.
Him and
Yeah,
Racy, we kept
right.
looking at, well, like after a certain point, after like 6 or 7 weeks of being like, oh, well, they could come back. It was like, well,
Right.
I don't think they're coming back.
You're
then
running-
they kept bringing people back. And it was like, okay, there's only so many people they can bring back from injured reserve.
Right.
But I'm trying to remember if Kyle Phillips was one they had to bring back twice. Because they had an instance of that, but I don't think it was more than one because they only could bring 8 players back or use that ability to bring players back 8 times in the season.
What do you think's the highest amount of targets Burks got in a single game last year? What's your guess? Phillips got 9 in week 1. What is the most targets Burks got in one game?
8.
Burt, what's your guess?
I'll go 9.
It's 8. He got 8 targets on 2 occasions against the Cowboys and the Packers, and obviously his biggest game.
So Tannehill for one, Dobbs for the other. And we know what the difficulties with the passing game with Malik Willis in the 3 games that he did start.
And remember, they threw the ball against Dallas with Josh Dobbs more than they had at any point that season.
I think that was their highest number of passing attempts, the
It
highest
was.
number of dropbacks and attempts that they had the entire year.
It was like 37.
As soon as they made the quarterback change.
It's kind of like the dress rehearsal for the final game of the season, though. They might have probably were seeing what they wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, that
throwing
game,
the ball around.
You're right. That game had no impact on the postseason, that Cowboys game.
We've got SEC observations coming up next. So obviously with OTAs going on, we've been talking a lot about the Titans and the NFL, but still news going on in the world of college football, specifically recruiting. Vols landed a 4-star commitment today that Lucas is going to tell you a little more about because it's time for some SEC observations.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Wait, it's football. Wait.
What?
Where is it?
Where's what?
The music that you're supposed to...
Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Nick Saban and Josh Heupel in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC, baby. Let's talk about the SEC. Let's talk about Brian Kelly and Greg Sankey in the SEC. Let's talk about SEC.
I listen more now to the vocals behind Bert.
Yeah.
Now that I know they're there.
Yeah.
Than I do to Bert.
Go ahead.
Really fills the space, doesn't it?
My favorite thing about it, especially when it's cutting you off, is the very first, the ooh. It gets me every time.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that Money Trees was still playing behind it for a period of time.
Yeah,
and then Bert decided he was going to mutter something over it as if it wasn't already enough of a cluster bleed.
That wasn't me talking.
Okay.
Oh,
I need to make you a new one.
Oh, okay. That'd be better than spending how much of your day trying to plan different ways to jump scare me. Why don't you do that?
What's a better use of your time? Planning how to jump scare Buck or creating a new SEC intro?
It's the scaries.
Scaries. Tennessee's adding all the pass rushers.
Yeah.
Going international, going across the pond as 4-star prospect Emmanuel Okoye out of the NFL Academy in London, committed to the Vols today. He picks Tennessee over Tennessee Tech and USC. He will be eligible for the 2023 season. So a little bit about Emmanuel Okoye. He is a 6'5", 230-pound pass rushing prospect. I love looking at his 247 Sports composite profile because, you know, the way it's compartmentalized, it's the position and the state that they're in. And here's where they rank as far as their position in this class. Here's where they rank based on where they're coming from. It's like the number 3 guy in Georgia, right? The number 30 guy in the country. He is the number 29 edge rusher in the 2023 recruiting class. He is the number 1 player out of England, and it just says EN as where typically there would be a state.
Country.
Right, the entire country. Emmanuel Okoye, interesting background, born and raised in Nigeria, grew up playing soccer. Obviously, as he figured out that he is a physical freak. He's
6'5", 230.
230. He started playing basketball, really good at that, and then he goes to London and he joins the NFL Academy. Watching his tape, they're playing football on soccer fields over there in London. But this is his scouting report from Andrew Ivins. He's the director of scouting at 247 Sports. Says one of one type of prospect. A former basketball player that was discovered at an NFL Africa camp and given the opportunity to learn the game of American football at the NFL Academy in London. Obviously, he's still very green. He's figuring things out from a technical standpoint, but he has elite testing numbers. A 45.5-inch vertical jump to go along with a 135.5-inch broad jump, both of which would be records at the NFL Scouting Combine for a defensive end.
Yeah.
Now, Bert did make the point. I don't know that he would go into the NFL at 230 pounds. So the more weight he adds, probably those numbers go down a little bit, but still worth looking at. Also claims an absurd 7'2" wingspan. Ivan says he advertises himself as an athlete that could do a little bit of everything, but frame, burst, and ability to bend while turning the corner suggests that his ceiling is probably highest as an edge rusher. However, he can attack the rim on the hardwood, and he might be able to emerge as a flex tight end if he can figure out how to create separation against FBS caliber defenses. Overall, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so it's a matter of whether they see him more as a better fit with Rodney Garner in that defensive line group, or if they think that he can transition to tight end. But I mean, the way that they use tight ends in that offense already, I don't know if that's best served. I mean, I obviously don't know enough about these things to be able to give you a very informed opinion on it. But I would say that the edge prospect would make the most sense.
I think that's how he's coming in. And Ivans concludes, says, overall should be viewed as a bit of a wild card. Will likely need plenty of coaching and time in the film room, but athletic profiles like his are rare for a reason. So he comes in as an edge rusher. I don't know how much of an impact Emmanuel Okoye will have for the Vols in 2023. He will be eligible, but I decided to take a look at every pass rusher on Tennessee's roster. Depth has been a bit of an issue there over the last couple of years. It got better last year with the additions of Joshua Josephs and James Pierce playing as true freshmen. They didn't play a lot as true freshmen. But looking at it from most experienced to least experienced, and they're not all edge rushers specifically on how they're labeled. These are just people that will rush the passer for Tennessee next season. Roman Harrison is back. He brings back 8 career sacks, 15.5 TFLs. Tyler Barron is back with 7.5 career sacks, 16.5 TFLs. Joshua Josephs, 1 career sack, 2.5 TFLs. He comes into his sophomore year, as does James Pierce Jr. with 2 career sacks and 2 TFLs. They add Caleb Herring, the number 1 overall edge rusher in the state of Tennessee out of Riverdale High School. Chandavian Bradley arrives this summer. Emmanuel Okoye out of London, and 3-star edge rusher Nathan Robinson. So that room is as full as it has been in a long time. Now, the experience as far as production goes, those numbers aren't going to be the highest in the SEC. They bring back a total of 19 career sacks, 36.5 TFLs. But the tools that they have to work with in that room now, that Mike Eckler and Rodney Gardner and Tim Banks can work with, they have more of that than they have at any point in the Heupel era, and it's not close.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day because you mentioned returning production and, the value of that. It's like the Eagles, right? The Eagles had the most sacks in football last year. They made the Super Bowl, but they fell short. Like, it was something like 70, like 72 sacks or something outrageous. It is fair to expect that the Eagles are not going to be that as effective year over year at getting after the quarterback. So, like, returning production and things like that, all I would caution you is just generally, not Lucas specifically, but just generally, don't get too caught up in those returning production stats.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like, can you get enough stops? Can you disrupt the quarterback enough to give your offense more chances, more opportunities? Because you're going to give up yards, like in this Tennessee defense, and frankly, just in college football. It's Nick Saban's nightmare, right? No longer can a great defense stop a great offense. Really, the great offense is more often than not going to get one over on the defense, no matter how well you scheme it or how hard you try. So I think that I'm fascinated to see how that develops into depth and competition for the University of Tennessee, because that was probably my biggest question mark defensively beyond their secondary.
Yeah, they're deeper and more talented than they have been at any point on defense under Josh Heupel. So this is going to be fascinating. This edge rusher room. Tennessee was middle of the pack last year. They got home, sacked the quarterback 31 times. That was tied for 6th best in the SEC with Mississippi State. So Emmanuel Okoye from London, England, originally from Nigeria. Welcome to Knoxville.
615-737-1045. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? We're going to tell you what we have coming up next, and you can also participate for the chance to win 2 tickets to the live taping of The Install this coming Saturday with Greg Cosell and myself. It's going to be a great time, so bring your submissions. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11:01. Good morning from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. On Tuesday, Titans veterans met with the media, including free agent newcomers like Daniel Brunskill, Azeez Al-Shaair, and cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting, who talked about conditioning as one thing that stood out to him about how his new team operates.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. You know, we come out here, we work hard every day. We do a lot of things that other teams in the league aren't doing at this time. We're pushing sleds on Mondays. We're doing things that's different, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, it's enjoyable. You know, you come out here and it feels like you're working for something.
NBA playoffs, the Denver Nuggets held off a Lakers comeback to win Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, 132-126. Nikola Jokic with a triple-double, 34 points, 21 rebounds, and 14 assists. College baseball, Tennessee and Belmont fought through weather delays at Lindsey Nelson Stadium as the Vols beat the Bruins 9-5. Tennessee is at South Carolina this weekend for the final series of the regular season. Vanderbilt and MTSU had their matchup canceled due to weather. The Vandy boys will host Arkansas this weekend. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, goodness. What's happening? Welcome in hour number 2. Thanks for hanging out with us. Lucas, Burt, myself with you until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in if you want to. We got the dumbest thing in sports this week here in just a second, so make sure you bring your submissions. 615-737-1045. If you give us the single dumbest thing in sports this week, we'll give you 2 tickets to the Install, the live show coming up this Saturday. Greg Cosell is flying in tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I think he's going to be in studio with 3HL, so that'll be fun. And Greg and I will be breaking down the Titans 2023 draft class with you. We're going to be talking team-building philosophy. We're going to talk about Treylon Burks and what he brings to this offense and what we think Tim Kelly is going to look like in his first year on the job. So if you don't want to pay $25, even though the tickets are only $25, and they are still available now, by the way, boys, Bert in particular, we are 35 tickets away from me having to eat the banana Will Levis style and you having to drink the mayonnaise coffee. 35. We had sold 10 in the first day, 5 yesterday. The goal is 50 for a sellout, 35 to go before Saturday. Do you think we can do it?
How many until I get my toes painted?
Oh, no, we've already achieved the toe painting.
What?
Parameter, yeah. No,
so my toes get painted?
We passed that
He's
last
excited.
week.
When
That's
are
right.
you going?
I can call the place that I go for pedicures today after work, and we can get a time to go have your toenails painted two-tone blue. You want them done in advance of the live show?
I feel like would I have to wear like flops to the show so people can see them? Or I feel like
I think it's in everybody's best interest if you wear closed-toed shoes.
I'd rather you wear flip-flops.
Greg
You're not
Cosell is
going
going to meet me for the first time and be like, who the hell is this kid?
Yeah, it's
I mean, you got me drinking a mayonnaise coffee on stage. You're going to have my toes painted. Like,
I'm just going to tell him that you're somebody that we found outside of the building.
I just want you to paint me in a good light. I want you to be proud of me. I want you to be able to bring me around your friends, show me off.
Well, this is
not paint me up like some kind of show donkey. But if I got to be a show donkey to hang out, Buck, just eon.
Just parading him around.
You're not a show donkey. I don't know what you are.
I think it would have been better if you just called me a show donkey.
Well,
than to
because
say you don't know what I am. I don't know what you are.
Because I don't know if you're like, is Bert our mascot? I feel like not. That feels a bit demeaning. I don't necessarily know. Like, it's not like we have a station mascot other than those little weirdo stuffed animal footballs and basketballs that were roaming around the studio earlier today. So I guess Bert is technically the show mascot, but that's not exactly the most humanizing terms for me to put him in.
I like that. I can deal with that.
Okay.
The Fighting Berts.
The Fighting Berts. The Rockin' Robbies.
Ooh.
I
good.
will I will be in touch with you about the time, date, and place that we will be getting your toenails painted two-tone blue for the people who bought the 10 tickets that require us to do so.
I cannot wait.
35 more tickets, and we will eat the banana and the mayo coffee on the stage and make Greg Cosell realize his worst fears, which is that I've been prostituting myself out this entire time as a means to sell tickets. Dumbest thing in sports, please.
Let's be honest. You've already seen something this week that made you say,
"What the is this?"
That's bullshit.
What the hell? Give me some more now.
Something so mind-numbingly idiotic that you just want to get it off your chest.
Dumber than a second coat of paint.
Some idiot.
You are really dumb. For real. It's the dumbest thing in sports this week on the Buck Rising Show.
615-737-1045. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? You give us yours, we'll give you 2 tickets to the Install live show coming up this Saturday. 615-737-1045. It's at the Hutton Hotel, downtown Nashville. It's going to be great. There's a full bar. If you buy the VIP tickets, you get dinner and drink tickets with your purchase. 1045thezone.com to buy them. But if you want to win them, now's the time. So my dumbest thing in sports this week is Joel Embiid. Now, it's been a couple of days since the 76ers got bounced. Joel Embiid, the only MVP to not reach a conference finals, the MVP with the biggest points per game drop-off disparity from regular season to postseason, and a guy who does, in ways that I enjoy, an awful lot of talking. But Joel Embiid gets up there at the podium afterwards, after they get bounced, after they collapse in Game 7, after losing Game 6. And Joel Embiid says, you know what? I'm doing my best out here. Me and James Harden both. But we can't do it by ourselves. This was Joel Embiid. Oh, Lucas is on the phone. We'll get to that here in just a second. But Joel Embiid, at this point, with the 76ers, Doc Rivers fired in ways that honestly, like, the numbers don't lie, right? Like, Doc Rivers is now 0 for 10 when trying to advance to the conference championship game. It's a damning stat, and he loses his job because of it. But ultimately, I don't know how much blame to put on Doc Rivers for Joel Embiid struggling in Game 7 the way that he did, and James Harden being a no-show for basically, certainly in Game 7, where it's just completely disorienting. This was Joel Embiid on the podium after the fact.
We got the chance to win, but, it's going to take, more than us. We all got to look at ourselves. I got to be better, and I will be better. That's what I'm focused on. All of us, we got to, come back and find ways to just keep improving and, help the team. You can't win alone. I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
Yeah, sir, you can't win alone. You have to help them. Joel Embiid is one of my favorite players in the NBA just because he's loud and he's spectacular. He's a 7-footer that can pull up from 3 at any point. But like the way that he and James Harden disappear in the postseason, he had 15 points. They got blown out 112-88. Get the bleep out of here, Joel Embiid. Can't do it by themselves. You didn't do anything. Go ahead, Bert.
I'm going to stay in the NBA with mine. Ja Morant put out a statement, and he wanted people to know that he is sorry. I'm going to read the statement now. I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me. This is a journey, and I recognize there is more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I will take full accountability for my actions. I'm committed to continuing to work on myself. Way to go, Ja Morant. That was a great apology. If someone wouldn't have sniffed him out that he just used ChatGPT. Someone looked it up, wrote, they asked ChatGPT, write a short apology and include you are disappointed in yourself. And ChatGPT wrote the exact same statement that Ja Morant released that Woj put out for everybody to see.
It's word for word.
Word for word, the exact same thing.
And it's almost word for word from the statement that he had to issue 2 damn months ago. The first time he got suspended.
Oh, so he just used ChatGPT back then.
That's right.
He didn't use it this time.
That's right.
Now, is this John Morant being lazy, or is this John Morant simply being smart and outsourcing his PR to AI instead of hiring someone to do it?
Smarter, not harder.
John Morant probably has no idea that these statements are even out there based on his behavior. Are you kidding me?
That's fair.
The whole John Morant, you know what I've learned about the John Morant experience? One, his words mean nothing. Two, he behaves like a 9-year-old. Three, the entire money-making NBA machine wanted him out there against LeBron James and the Lakers so badly, they just had to say, okay, we're going to put out this statement. Say you went to rehab. It'll be fine. Now go do some kind of crazy dunk, even if you miss him. Twitter highlights love that. Then go play the Lakers. You may get embarrassed, and LeBron's looking around at 40 years old at Dillon Brooks and John Morant waving around his Skip Bayless iron, right? Saying, really, you're going to try to beat me with these guys? This is what you're coming after me with?
I agree. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't get into it. If John Morant really wanted to put out a real apology, he would have done it on Instagram Live. He would have went on in his friend's car, and it would have said, hey, sorry, guys. Sorry about the gun. We're just chilling in the car, not really driving, not really going anywhere. All of it would have been on Instagram Live, and we would have got to see him say it.
615-737-1045. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? If you give us the best one, we'll send you to the Install Live show this Saturday.
I hate to do this to Dan Shulman, who is a fantastic broadcaster, but my dumbest thing in sports this week goes to the Toronto Blue Jays home television broadcast for not necessarily accusing, but insinuating that Aaron Judge was cheating during his at-bats against the Toronto Blue Jays, a game that the Yankees won and dominated in. So Aaron Judge, as the Yankees are winning 6-0 against the Blue Jays in the top of the 8th, is at bat. And he is in his stance, and you can see him glancing somewhere. Like his eyes are moving. He's not moving his head. He's not looking somewhere, but his eyes are looking out of the corner of his eye at something. And this was the Toronto Blue Jays broadcast team reaction.
So you and I looked at each other at the same moment right when we saw this 3 pitches ago.
Watch what he's looking at.
Yeah. What is that?
Where's he looking?
Where is he looking? And he did it more than once.
Yeah, it's really, really unusual. But you and I both looked at each other when we saw that.
Like, did you see what I saw?
Yeah.
And you don't want to go, throwing allegations around without knowing, but.
Nah. And you know what? I have had guys look back when I was catching, and you obviously could see it, and he couldn't see the catcher with the way he was looking right there.
Yeah, just did it again.
I mean, anytime you say, well, you don't want to insinuate anything, but no, you are insinuating something just by saying those words. Aaron Judge, turns out, by the way, he blasted a home run immediately after that. I should have included that in the audio. Aaron Judge says that he was looking over at his dugout because the Yankees, while winning 6-0 and 7-0 after that homer, had players chirping from their dugout to Blue Jays players, and Judge, as the captain of this team, didn't really like what he was hearing. The chirping from his teammates in a game that they were dominating in the middle of the baseball season. And then Aaron Judge also said that he has some quote. This is from Brian Hawk, covers the Yankees for MLB. Aaron Judge said that he has some, quote, choice words about the Blue Jays broadcasters insinuating that he was cheating. He declined to share them. I'm not happy about it, but people can say what they want. I've still got a game to play. I've got things to do.
Tyler Dial says Judge was looking at the TV in the dugout to see if ESPN was cutting into his at-bat. But did you see that the pitcher, the Blue Jays pitcher, Jay Jackson, said he was tipping the pitches?
No, I did not see that.
That completely does away with any cheating allegations for Aaron Judge whatsoever. Jay Jackson admitted. I'm reading an article from Fox Sports. Jay Jackson, Toronto Blue Jays pitcher, admitted he was tipping pitches during a game. The tiff started Monday night when the broadcasters, as Lucas just played the audio, was wondering why Aaron Judge was glancing over towards the bench before the pitch. But this is what Jay Jackson had to say per The Athletic. From what I was told, I was kind of tipping the pitch. It was less my grip when I was coming behind my ear. It was the time it was taking me from my set position, from my glove, coming from my head to my hip. On fastballs, I was kind of doing it quicker than on sliders. They were kind of picking up on it. So all of the allegations, any kind of allegations towards the Yankees, and specifically Aaron Judge in this instance, unfair. 615-737-1045. We'll get to your phone calls on the dumbest thing in sports this week for a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Install Live show coming up next.
615-737-1045. We're doing the dumbest thing in sports this week. We're going to get back to some Titan stuff here in just a second. If you want a pair of tickets to the Install, the live show coming up this Saturday, it is going to be a packed house. It's going to be so much fun. We're excited to have you guys. But if you haven't got your tickets yet, it's a great opportunity to try and win some. If you give us the dumbest thing in sports this week, let's go to Eric in Nashville up first. Hey, Eric.
Hey, I wish you'd done this about a week or two ago because I could have went. I hate this. I've already made other plans, so I'm not going to be able to go. But here's what I saw yesterday. I saw where Pat McAfee is now signed with ESPN. I mean, really? You're going to sign with a network who is affiliated with Disney, who's losing money, who ESPN is letting go of people left and right. Now, if you claim that you're going to still have creative control, it's going to be interesting to see when you have guests like your weekly visit of Aaron Rodgers, if you're still going to do that. And they heard that Pac-Man Jones is part of his show. Now, guys, he didn't need ESPN. ESPN needed him. It's strictly a ratings grab, more power to her. I hope it's successful. But, guys, that's my dumbest thing in sports. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for the call, Eric. Dude, so are people actually are people talking about this? Or is it just because it's Eric's submission. I want to try and avoid the thing where we do too much sports media talk in ways that the larger audience doesn't care. But Pat feels big enough to where it's being discussed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of people say, oh, he's going to go to ESPN. They're going to change the show. It's not going to be the same thing. Well, no doy. That's what happens when you go somewhere else. But you also can't fault Pat for going and making a bag. You know what I mean? He's going to go there. They're probably going to change some stuff. They're going to say he can't cuss anymore. He's probably going to limit Pac-Man or his other guests that come on there. And then the show's ratings will go down and he'll be free again. But let the man make his bag. Let him make his money while he can, and then he'll just go back to doing the show like it was.
Why do people not understand this is about a ton of money? He just walked out on a $120 million deal. He's a punter. He's a former punter.
Making $10 million a year with ESPN.
What are you talking about? And the idea that ESPN needs Pat more than Pat needs ESPN. No, ESPN has the money. Disney's laying off people because they're eliminating the middle class at ESPN and these giant networks in the same way that a lot of corporations are, whether that's tech, entertainment, or otherwise. No, they're getting rid of the people, if they can get rid of 10 people making $750,000 a year and hire Pat McAfee and just go out and get the biggest digital property that's out there, that's a win for ESPN and a win for Pat McAfee.
The show will change, obviously.
Sure. But I know, I'm sure there's diehards for Pat McAfee who care about that stuff. And honestly, I've never listened to Pat, and it's not I'm not saying this as a shot or anything, but I just haven't listened to Pat's show other than the clips that make it on the internet.
They're on at the same time as us, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Aren't they in the middle of the day?
I have no idea.
I mean, we've been on here while Aaron Rodgers is talking to Pat McAfee, and we're keeping track of it.
I guess you're right, because they live streamed it that one time on NFL Network, and there was F-bombs everywhere.
Just constantly dropping F-bombs on NFL Network.
But Pat has a kid now. The idea that people want their favorite entertainers, or I'll make a weird comparison. Live Golf, right? People, including myself, got bent out of shape because Phil Mickelson took the Saudi blood money, right? He took the bag because he's at a certain age where he knows that it's not getting better as far as his golf career is concerned, and nobody on the PGA or the PGA is not going to pay him anywhere close to what he was going to get in Saudi Arabia. Lucas, we haven't talked about this with Messi and Ronaldo, but they're talking about, Ronaldo's already there. Messi's talking about taking a giant Saudi bag too at the end of his career if he doesn't end up in MLS.
Yeah, and if he comes to MLS, then the thought is it would be Miami, who Nashville plays tonight, by the way.
So that people are holding Pat or Phil Mickelson or whomever, right, to a higher standard than they would hold themselves to when a giant amount of money is on the table, generational type wealth. Just because some tweaks like Pac-Man Jones might not appear as much on the Pat McAfee show. What the hell does Pat McAfee care about that? Now, it may not make him happy, and he may not see the life of that ESPN deal. Pat is so unique because he has survived. He has used all the various platforms at his disposal and come out better than them on the other side. He's already been at ESPN. He's already been through Barstool. He's done his own independent thing. He got a giant bag from FanDuel, and now he's back for more cash from ESPN. Pat's a genius.
And the dude hasn't failed. Like, what's one thing that he's gone into that he hasn't been good at? Like, even at WWE, he went into WWE, he was an announcer, and he was awesome. And he was like, I actually want to try wrestling. And he was awesome at wrestling, too. Like, this match with ESPN is awesome because the character that he is, he has more juice than anybody at ESPN right now. More eyeballs that are drawn to him. So, like, if ESPN wants to use him in ways like Corso's not getting any younger on College Game Day, you want to go to College Game Day and Pat McAfee's putting on mascot heads now? It just makes sense. The dude is a superstar.
Now, he's not bigger than Stephen A.
Where's he work?
Huh?
Where's he work?
Stephen A?
Yeah.
At ESPN?
Sure, but he ain't got the juice. He does not have the juice.
Stephen A is absolutely as big a figure, if not bigger a
I didn't
figure
say nothing
in this
about,
landscape than Pat.
Sure. I'm not saying he's not a big as a figure. I'm saying he does not have the juice that Pat McAfee has. If you talk about Stephen A., if Stephen A. was on somewhere talking about sports, you go, yeah, that's his job. But if Pat McAfee talks about something outside of his lane, you would listen to him.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that assessment because there's nothing, and again, it sounds personal in a way that I don't mean it to. It's just there's nothing about, like, Pat doesn't do it for me. I think Pat's funny. I saw Pat do stand-up comedy when he was touring around the state of Indiana. Like, he came to Evansville, Indiana when I was in high school, and he did a stand-up set. He was great. And it was funny because it's the Colts punter. He's a novelty, right? But, like, what you've just said there, but Pat McAfee going outside his lane and saying something about something else that I don't care about that. But people clearly do.
But no, it makes sense that that's not for you, though. It makes sense that you would be more drawn to Stephen A. because he talks about factual things, he argues with people. But Pat McAfee's kind of like a variety show. He comes on, he talks a little bit about this, he talks a little bit about that, he does a little handstand, he shoots a half-court shot.
Right, he's firecrackers.
Yeah.
He's jazz hands.
He's an entertainer.
Well, Stephen A. is too, but I just think it's two different forms of entertainment. See, this is what I was scared of happening. We're doing some real inside baseball stuff that I think.
What do you want to talk about then?
Probably Titan stuff. You want to talk about Malik Willis? You think he can make the roster? Is there any circumstance under which Malik Willis makes this roster this year?
I think so.
They have never kept 3 quarterbacks in the Mike Vrabel era on the 53-man roster.
I don't think that's true.
When would they have kept 3 quarterbacks?
The year that Marcus Mariota had to be a healthy scratch against the Colts with Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, so
Week
year
17
one.
winning in.
You're saying just for that week?
Yeah, I mean, there's been, I'm sure you could find several stints, especially with Marcus that year.
Have they ever, going into the season, going into week 1, kept 3 quarterbacks?
No, I don't. Not under Mike that I can recall. I mean, there's been practice squad dudes, but not 53. So it's typically 2 quarterbacks. So what? Because I got this question the other day. I do this Q&A on the A to Z Sports Instagram story every Tuesday. And somebody was asking me, is there any scenario in which the Titans keep Malik Willis on the roster in 2023? And so the most logical solution that I could come up with, and I'm curious to see how it hits you in the audience, is if both Will Levis and Malik Willis perform well enough through OTAs, minicamp, training camp, and the preseason to make Ryan Tannehill expendable in a way that we do not consider him anywhere close to be right now. If the 2 younger players make the guy with 1 year left on his deal and a post-June 1 cap relief of, what is it? It's 30-something million. No, I'm sorry. It's 24-something, right? I forgot. We haven't talked about Tannehill's cap stuff in a while. I've forgotten the numbers exactly. What is the cap relief post-June 1 for Ryan Tannehill? I can find that.
I'm looking for it.
Okay, thank you. Whatever it is, it's consequential, right? If Ryan Tannehill if Malik Willis and Will Levis perform well enough to make Ryan Tannehill expendable, then I could envision Malik Willis being on the roster. But I think beyond that, I don't see any way, shape, or form in which all 3 are healthy and all 3 are kept on the 53-man. There's no special teams value in a quarterback. The roster math is so difficult already with the way that these things work. Now, you may not like the idea of cutting him or waiving him, trying to get him to clear waivers and put him on the practice squad because somebody probably scoop him up off waivers, yeah?
Jeremy on the F&M Bank chat says, if they release Malik, there is no chance he clears waivers.
I mean, there is a chance. There's absolutely a chance.
For sure. Every other team has to fill out a 53-man roster. I don't know how many teams have an open roster spot right before the season starts to float a project quarterback.
Shane Loki says Buck Malik is not going anywhere. Based on what? Like, what are you saying that other than you might like Malik Willis? And that's fine if that's your logic, but, like, is there another logical conclusion? Because even the one that I've presented to you is kind of, it's a really, really like metaverse type of situation that we're talking about here.
Yeah. There's no ground to stand on where you can look at someone and say, hey, man, trust me, he's not going anywhere.
No, it's nonsense.
I know. He ain't going anywhere.
Like Shane, and that's fine. Like, if you think they're giving up too early on him, you can be upset about it, but you cannot sit there logically, look at yourself, look at any of us on the Zone TV broadcast and say with great confidence, trust me, Buck, Malik is not going anywhere.
You're just going to have to take my word for this.
Yeah, okay. Good luck.
So what are the scenarios you've painted that 3 quarterbacks or Malik would be on the roster?
If one of them gets injured and they have to put one on IR, if Levis and Willis outperform Ryan Tannehill to the point that it makes him disposable by the time the regular season rolls around and roster cuts have to be made.
Or another scenario where maybe Levis isn't as good as we think he might be and Willis outshines him. And this is just a scenario, not a projection. I'm just saying in that scenario, I think you would have to keep Willis because he looked better than Levis did.
Did you see Levis in rookie minicamp?
Throwing against guys in socks or what? How was it put?
Guys in socks.
AJ says, sure there is when talking about the chances of a Titans keeping 3.
Mm-hmm.
Rand came from San Francisco. They went through 3 quarterbacks. They needed a 4th.
It's true. That is not inaccurate by any stretch of the imagination.
That 4th quarterback also wasn't on the roster, though. They had to sign that guy.
Josh Johnson.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So, I would say that, but he is correct about San Francisco keeping 3 quarterbacks out of necessity. Now, Trey Lance, they shut down. Like, Trey Lance was shut down in week 2, but they did have, after week 2, because week 2 was the injury. But they did have, so was Purdy on the active roster?
I was about to ask, was he in week 1, was Brock Purdy on the 53-man roster?
He was drafted there, so I mean,
he's a 7th-round pick, so.
Okay, give me a second. Stall for me.
That was a 7th-round flyer that they took on Brock Purdy out of Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a Malik Willis conversation where it's a project quarterback, but he was a 3rd-round pick. He was talked about as a 1st-round pick throughout the draft process. Brock Purdy, you imagine, in that moment would be much less likely, before we know what he is, would be much less likely to get scooped up.
Now, I'm looking at his transactions, Purdy's, and it does not say, it says drafted by San Francisco in the 7th round.
He did make the 53.
Yeah, it sounds like he made the 53. So, San Francisco is the anomaly here, and of course they do have the variable here that could create that possibility, as it was correctly pointed out. Who said that in the chat? Either way.
AJ, I think.
Okay. Well, whomever was correct in pointing that out. The thing that I will default to, though, is Mike Vrabel having more personnel control, and Mike Vrabel looking around at a quarterback room with 3 players on the active roster and saying which of those is going to be on punt. I just really don't think there's a scenario in which you could talk Mike Vrabel into keeping that extra quarterback when there's going to be positional needs all over the place, and the value that particular coach places on special teams. I mean, it's not like it's much higher than your average coach in the NFL. Like, they all value special teams, but there is inherently no value unless you're Taysom Hill. And, I mean, I guess you could think that, but that even seems more harebrained than what I propose, which is the 2 young players outperform Tannehill. That you Taysom Hill this. There's been no discussion of that.
Leo in Franklin calls in to remind us. He didn't want to be on the air, but he said, remember, J-Rob drafted Malik Willis. And we've brought that up before. How much do we put into the fact that was a John Robinson draft pick?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to convince me that Malik Willis is not long for this roster, or at least convince me of the case that Malik Willis is not long for this roster. Like I said, he could end up being there because, something has happened. They have to place, again, these are just hypotheticals, but they have to place Levis or Tannehill on PUP or injured reserve to start the year or something like that, and they need another quarterback, and they've got one who's been in their system. So, like, all these different things are possible. Can't you pay Malik Willis to stick around on practice? Well, you can protect him if he clears waivers, but he has to clear waivers. So he would, when you see waived versus the word cut, when those transactions come down from teams, the waiver wire, just like your fantasy team, right? There's a waiver order in the NFL. So he has to clear the waiver order before he can officially be brought back by the team that waived him on the practice squad. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. Speaking of taking big steps, the NFL as a property is doing so with a streaming playoff game in ways that has a lot of fans pissed off. We're going to talk about that coming up next. So the NFL is making money moves perpetually. And they sent us all an email yesterday, or a couple of days ago, the league did, about a playoff game in a new format. Maybe not necessarily a new format, but a new platform that they are going to be broadcasting a playoff game on. Did you guys see this?
Oh, Peacock.
Peacock, NBC's streaming service, is going to become the home of the first ever exclusive live-streamed NFL playoff game. It's going to be the Saturday night wild card game. So basically, whichever AFC team makes it into AFC South team makes it into the playoffs, this is your game. You're getting put on Peacock. So if the Titans make the playoffs, better figure out how to get Peacock, kids, because it's Titans, it's Texans, Jags, whomever. They're playing in the Peacock game, which I love, by the way. We can start calling it the Peacock game. It is going to immediately follow. Well, that's interesting. Exclusive NFL wildcard game on Peacock to immediately follow the NFL wildcard game on NBC and Peacock Saturday, January the 14th. So NBC is going to have one game on NBC and Peacock, and then another game just on Peacock.
I would assume you can watch that first one just by logging into Peacock with your, you know how you can log in with your like TV provider details. And you can just watch any NBC broadcast on the Peacock app. And then I would assume that AFC matchup that's only on Peacock, you have to have some sort of subscription.
So they give a statement from various executives about how excited they are to live stream the first exclusively live streamed NFL playoff game, yada, yada, yada. And immediately people start to complain, right? Because it's another streaming service that you have to add. I feel like I got Peacock free because I have cable. Like, I am one of the few people our age, I feel like. How many of you don't have cable, do you? Either of you?
No.
I haven't had cable since I went to college.
Right. Like, the only reason, and again, this sounds pretentious, but like, I have cable because I can legitimately write it off on my taxes. Like, it's a work expense.
Well, so that's what I'm confused about. Like, you can have a Peacock account and watch any NBC programming on Peacock just by logging in with those credentials.
That's right.
If you are Charter Spectrum or whatever it is.
Yeah, but you're talking about people who, I mean, there's a contingent of people who don't like the idea of watching the Watch ESPN app, watching a game on the Watch ESPN app, right? It's just another thing that you have to do. You have to have your login credentials. You have to know what your password is, all these different things. And it speaks to a certain generation, but the NFL's audience, it's not baseball old, but it's definitely older.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Notre Dame. Remember Notre Dame did a little bit of this with Peacock, where they are now in a phase where they are trying to figure out the best way to drive people towards these networks' streaming platforms, right? What was the reporting from Amazon as soon as they had Thursday Night Football? It's the single largest subscriber rush to Amazon Prime that Amazon has experienced in the history of the company. Why? Because they had an NFL product. They had an NFL game. Now, it's just one game. So let's say it's the Titans, right? You could just listen to it on Titans radio if you wanted to. Many of you do that anyway.
Which is what Jameson on the F&M Bank chat says. He says, I'll listen to Titans radio. I can't have 75 different streaming services.
Sure, that's fine. Because for my larger point is, for all the different streaming service that people who are cord cutting are paying for, now the networks and all these things have figured out, oh, okay, well, we'll just take our own content. We'll put our own streaming service together, and we'll just make you pay an extra fee for that. So it's basically ending up being the same amount of cost where, I mean, my cable and internet bill, for example, it's like, I think I'm paying like $220, right, a month for cable and internet, but also including the sports package. I also have HBO, and then I have streaming services on top of that, which is Disney Plus, Netflix, all these other things. But by the time you end up doing, you pull your YouTube TV from here and you pull your signing up for ESPN Plus or Disney Plus with the ESPN Plus edition here, or you're trying to get all these different things. You're menu iteming it, but it's still ending up with a similar cost to what you'd end up paying for cable.
Which YouTube TV is basically like having cable. I feel like I have cable. I can watch every local channel, TBS, ESPN. It's basically the same thing. But the English Premier League has done this with Peacock in the last couple of years. So NBC got the rights to the Premier League years ago. And then I want to say 2 years ago, they came out. So Peacock would carry just select Premier League games on Saturdays or Sundays. So It's an NBC property, but Arsenal's playing Everton or something, and it's only on Peacock. So I am subscribed to Peacock, $5-6 a month, whatever it is, just to be able to watch whenever I want to that Premier League game that I can't get on USA or NBC because it's only on Peacock.
And by the way, you can stop paying. You don't have to pay it on a monthly basis. You can start your subscription. You can watch the NFL game that's going to be on Peacock, and then you can end your subscription. It's just, it's like signing up for like a newspaper trial or something like that. You got to set a reminder to make sure that you end that subscription before it auto charges you for the next month.
Or just make a fake email. Keep making fake emails, get free trials. That's what I've been doing that with Spotify for years.
Right. So you can do all of these things and you can do them cost effectively, but it's going to make you work a little harder, right? Because that's basically what Greg Burton on Facebook Live brings up. What about us old folks that know nothing about streaming? Well, they're telling you that eventually you're not going to matter. and that sounds harsh. Wait. What's wrong with what I just said?
Just a little abrasive.
You're
just not going to matter anymore. Anyway, back to sports.
Yeah, it's harsh, but like if you
can just say this is the way things are trending, and in an X amount of years, like this will be your only option.
Nah, I'm with Buck.
I don't know about not going to matter.
Like, okay, what for who? Okay, like understand the way that, we talk about football being a business all the time. Cold, cruel, emotionless. You know who else is? Television network executives. They ain't gonna have a damn. Who can I sell the most amount of adult diaper ads to? Okay, Fox News, I'll go there. Who can I sell the most Cialis advertisements to? Okay, Comedy Central at 3:45 in the morning, put me there.
Now,
you know what I'm saying? Like this is how these things are being looked at.
I assume and I hope that the money that I'm paying monthly for Peacock to watch Premier League games would automatically apply to this NFL playoff game. That I don't have to pay some extra layered on subscription for Peacock just to watch the playoff game. That I'm not down for. But I get why people hate the concept of having to hop around from app to app. Like the Amazon Thursday Night Football stuff, I enjoy flipping from channel to channel. I don't enjoy watching commercials. I enjoy during a commercial flipping over to whatever NBA game or whatever the hell is on at the same time as the Thursday Night Football game. I do not enjoy having to close all the way out of the app and open up something else while watching Thursday Night Football to have to be able to do that. And so I get the frustrations. Like, oh, now I got to watch this game on Amazon, this game on Peacock. Like, yeah, it's annoying. It is.
615-737-1045 if you want to join the discussion. A variety of people weighing in on the F&M Bank chat here. I saw a comment. Oh, Tyler Bean. He says, I have all the streaming services. I wish all of them did a one-time annual fee. Just pay it and get out of the way. Well, some of them do. Like, I think I pay a lot of mine just one time up front and that just make sure that I schedule it in my calendar that I have that annual cost coming up.
Yeah, I know HBO Max does that.
Well, you see that HBO Max is no longer going to have HBO in the name. They're changing it all to Max now.
It's just going to be Max?
Yeah, they've lumped it all in. Cinemax, HBO, and Discovery are all now Max. I keep getting email notifications from HBO about that.
It's going the way of Stars.
Well, yeah, they're just watering it down by putting a bunch of terrible episodes of Friends on there and telling me that I'm getting more more bang for my buck. Keep your friends, keep your, what even good is on Discovery Channel?
I mean,
name me a good Discovery Channel show.
David Attenborough talking about anything.
No, that's Netflix.
Isn't Top Gear a Discovery Channel? I don't know. I grew up watching some Discovery.
Pawn Stars? Is that on Discovery?
All I know
Mythbusters.
All I know is I pay for it and I never watch it.
You need to check it out. They got some good stuff. They've got oh no, all this looks pretty terrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're watering HBO for forever has been like, okay, the best stuff goes on HBO, and now they're watering it down with terrible ththings like Pawn Stars.
Oh, there's a show called Very Scary People. You should watch that.
Are you nominating me?
No, I wouldn't say you're scary. This is like actually scary people.
Rick in Hendersonville is next. Hey, Rick.
Hey guys, Buck, I totally agree with you. And I just turned 70 yesterday. But it's the truth that nobody cares. I mean, they are weeding us older people out. And it was like you said, because sooner or later, all the older people will be gone. And the guys, 50 and under, those kids are are going to move up the bracket, and they're going to know how to do all this stuff. They don't care about paying for this stuff. We do. I went to a grocery store the other day, and I said, there's a ad up for X amount of dollars or whatever. Oh, well, that's an online ad only. I said, I don't do that online crap. She said, well, I'm going to go ahead and give you the price, but what we're doing is trying to train our customers. So I'll let you guys go, but I wanted you to know that from an old person to a youngster, you're exactly right.
Thanks for the call, Rick. Look at Bert giggling in the background. Bert tried to hit him with the music 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, Bert was right there 10 seconds into the call.
He's talking about, as a 70-year-old, coming to terms with the idea that he is being phased out of society by the things that are trying to capitalize on his purchasing power, and Robert wants to hit him with Oscars
Yeah,
music.
he sounded like that old Johnny Paycheck song. At times I feel like an old violin. Hit him with the music. Keep it moving.
Leave Rick in Hendersonville alone.
That was a good call from Rick.
You vulture. You damn vulture. He is contemplating the vastness of the universe and his own mortality on our airwaves, and you want to do a corny sports talk radio bit.
Hit him with the music.
Break.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Tuesday, Titans veterans met with the media, including free agent newcomers like Daniel Brunskill, Azeez Al-Shaair, and cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting, as well as second-year wide receiver Treylon Burks, who has been in Nashville for the entirety of the offseason and says he's feeling good going into year 2.
I mean, I feel great. Running fast, not having any problems with breathing. And really just having fun, man. I'm in a good place, state of mind, and I'm just thankful.
Tennessee football got a commitment today from 4-star athlete Emmanuel Okoye of the NFL Academy program in London, England. The 6'5", 230-pounder chose the Vols over Texas Tech and USC, and he will be eligible to play in 2023. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Show's been fun. It's the final hour. It's moving fast. We're happy to have you here one way or the other, whether you're streaming, whether you're listening on FM radio, Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. No matter where you're consuming us, thanks for spending a little time. Bert, Lucas, myself, one more hour to go. Then we turn things over to Blaine and Mickey. Of course, they'll keep you entertained before 3HL gets on the air. And your phone calls are welcome. We've been talking about the NFL moving a playoff game, the first exclusively live-streamed playoff game, to Peacock, NBC's streaming app and platform this coming postseason. And the viability of that from a league standpoint, what it means about who they're marketing to these days. Because the oldest millennial is now how old? I mean, they're in their 40s, right? If I'm going to be 30 this year, I think millennials are now at their oldest in their 40s.
What's the cutoff? I think
on the front end or the back end?
I think I'm the youngest millennial, born in 95.
Okay.
27. I think that is as young as a millennial can get.
It's probably like 85 to 95 or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Bert, you said something?
96 is the cutoff.
96 is the cutoff.
81 to 96.
81 to 96 is a millennial. So, yeah, there's millennials who are 40 years plus at this point. So millennials are no longer young. Now it's Gen Z? Gen Z is what's after us?
I think so.
Preceding Gen Z.
We are...
Millennials precede Gen Z.
Okay. Because Gen Z is TikTok, and now we're at the point. Now we're starting to get old enough where we can talk about how much we hate the younger generation.
Oh, stop!
God, those daggum kids.
You're such a wannabe Gen Z. You try to you pretend to be Gen Z.
I see you practicing your TikTok dances in there.
No, because I want to stay relevant. Are you kidding me? I'm doing what the networks are. I want to stay in front of the people who are not aging out, but who are aging in.
You can get away with it now because you're still in your 20s, but you're going to be like 45 years old and still using the word like slick in your tweets. It's totally fine. How do you do, fellow kids?
No, but see, he's going to grow into it when he's like, oh, we got Titans football, kids, and then that will fit.
I've been saying kids since I was a kid.
The worst part is he's going to grow into being like a rugged 45-year-old man, and it's going to suit him. But we're not going to be able to tell him anything. He's going to be such a silver fox. He's going to be like Nashville's 45 under 45. He's going to be number one every year until he ages out, and then he'll be the oldie.
That's fine. I've been old my entire life. You can't age me faster than I'm already aging myself.
Bud on the F&M Bank chat says, I won't watch a game on Peacock. Not getting suckered into all the different streaming services. I also have never missed watching a playoff game.
Okay, but this is like the people that were protesting watching the NFL, and then they said they'd never watch another NFL game, and then the NFL has the best ratings year that it's ever had.
But I understand why this is annoying to people, why they do not want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Can I just turn on my TV and watch the game and not have to download an app and sign up for it and subscribe? I totally get it.
Well, yeah, but that's what the companies who provide you the content are telling you is no, you can no longer do that. No, you no longer exist in that environment. That is no longer the environment that, by the way, you have created for yourselves.
100%. This is a darkness y'all chose.
You want options? We're giving you options. You don't want to have to work to find them? Tough bleep. If you didn't want your media options itemized in a way that you can select, check a box, I want YouTube TV, no to Hulu, yes to HBO, no to Cinemax, whatever, even though those are two, now they're the same things. This is something that there was a demand for. Now the networks are pivoting to that demand, and also in a way that's going to keep the streamers, the original streamers, at bay, who are going to be bidding on the live sports rights. You guys, you kind of rolled your eyes at me when I said I wanted to come on here and talk about Netflix and the idea that they couldn't get their Love is Blind, the dating show, they couldn't get their live stream special off the ground on Netflix, which is just there to stream. And I said, that's such a huge thing in the sports world because of now what we're getting ready to talk about. NBC wants to have a more compelling option for the NFL to keep making themselves viable to the NFL. Netflix just fumbled and they may get better. They may improve upon it. They may fix all the bugs that the Love is Blind thing has. But if I'm NBC, I'm turning around and saying, hey, they just botched the one thing that they're supposed to be able to do. Give me your playoff game. I'll live stream it. I may be crusty, dusty NBC, but I've got this Peacock thing, and it works well enough. It's worked for your games in the regular season. Go ahead and give us that playoff game. Bleep Netflix, bleep Prime, bleep Apple TV. Give it to us.
What are we closer to? The NFL being almost completely, games are scattershot all over streaming services. You got to go to Prime for Thursday night. You got to go to Peacock for this game. You got to go to X streaming service for this game. Or it all being consolidated in one place on a massive deal a la MLS Apple TV, where it's the same concept, like you pay a monthly fee, you subscribe to a streaming service, but it's all, everything, every bit of MLS content almost is in one place.
Yeah, but what then does that limit your TV contracts to?
That's why it would have to be
one deal,
an insane mega deal.
There's too many people that want the NFL. Like MLS needed Apple TV as much as Apple TV needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The NFL does not need these things. Everybody needs the NFL. Ray in Clarksville is up next. Hey, Ray.
How you doing?
Great.
I heard you guys talk about the 70-year-old man. I'm 65. I went to my granddaughter's game at West Creek here in Clarksville. Mm-hmm. The Titans started a flag football game. I could not go in there and see my granddaughter because they have an app that you have to download to go in to see the game and pay for it. Now, I'm 65. I was not told that I had to download an app to pay to get in. To me, that's wrong. And same thing with a lot of things like that. I'm not that old. I'm a vet. Yeah. I've done a lot of things. But it's not for everybody to do that. And I understand everybody wants to do modern things, but not everybody wants it ever to move on forward.
No, and I understand that. Well, let me say this, Ray, because there's obviously a generational difference that we're dealing with here, right? Because nobody on this show is 30 years old yet, right? I'm the oldest one, and I'll be 30 in July. We, our entire lives, have been trending towards, all right, mobile usage, mobile ease of use, apps, QR codes, all these different things. And there's even times where I feel like I'm out of date because I'm stumbling around with something that's new to me. So I can't understand, because I'm not of that age or that generation. I can't understand the feeling of that specifically, but I can understand the sentiment. Because you feel like you're getting left behind, and it's, sure, why wouldn't that feel wrong? If you have an app, so Nissan Stadium, is it cashless? Is that a thing? I feel like that was a thing that they had initially, like that held over from COVID. I can't remember. I don't know. I'm at Nissan Stadium for every game, but I haven't bought concessions there. But Geodis is cashless, right? So Geodis Park is telling you, yeah, cash, it doesn't matter here, where cash has been the thing for the vast majority of our entire lives. And then all of a sudden it's just not, I cannot accept your hard currency, sir.
Right, but everybody has a credit card and debit card.
Sure.
Like, the whole thing about downloading this certain app, like, that is, I do think that's a little ridiculous.
Well, because that was the whole thing with, like, Titans fans and their parking passes, right? They put parking passes on a mobile thing, and it caused an outrage because you couldn't just get something in the mail, hang it on your car, and go about where you're going to park, right? You have to pull up your app. You have to make sure you have the thing that can scan. Somebody has to be there to scan it. You have to do it in an efficient way. You have to have your brightness up on your phone, all these different things. Yeah? But what these companies are telling you, where Ray is expressing, don't leave me behind, and harsh as it might be, the companies are telling you, no, this is where the majority of people are. Just because Ray can't operate this way doesn't mean that there's 100 more people or 1,000 more people or 1 million more people that can.
Yeah, the F&M Bank chat is confirming to us Nissan Stadium is indeed cashless. But, yeah, to me, either take my cash or take my card. Like, take my money. Come on.
Sure.
I totally agree with Ray in that.
No, I'm not disputing.
I want to pay to come into this game, take my card or take my cash.
But it's not a matter of right or wrong. Like, I'm not doing right or wrong here. You're doing right or wrong. Ray is doing right or wrong. And I'm saying, no, this is where things are trending. Like, this is what it's... Like, right, wrong, indifferent, morally correct, ethically correct. Like, they don't give a damn if it's a more efficient way for them to maximize their profits and maximize the ability to reach consumers, because then they can present that in a sales meeting with Budweiser or, who's another giant corporation, Coca-Cola, any of these, right? And saying, yes, but we have all these people in this one spot. Give us your advertisement money, and we'll make sure they see it. Get more of your phone calls on this coming up next. This is obviously a point of contention for a lot of people. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. This has turned into a conversation about existential consumer crisis in football. You never know what's going to carry the most interest on any given day, but you guys seem to be particularly passionate about the idea that the NFL is going to live stream for the first time, exclusively live stream one of the wild card games, the Saturday night wild card game. So there will be. It doesn't guarantee. By the way, I was kidding largely about the AFC South playoff contender being relegated to this live stream playoff game, because there will be 2 Saturday wildcard games. But I can almost assure you that the AFC South team that makes the playoffs will be on Saturday, whether that's on NBC or Peacock, as this exclusive playoff game broadcast is set to be. So it's been kind of funny to see the different way that people are reacting to things, right? Because we've got a lot of different components of the audience here. We got people who listen on FM radio, and those ages range. We got people who watch the show every day live on YouTube and Facebook Live and all these different things, and those ages range. And even the chat is having kind of an existential crisis about all these different things, and I don't want to pay for this. And Chad on YouTube is saying the chat having to figure out basically having to wrestle with the fact that things change and people have to adapt like the rest of human history is funny to him. But, like, it's not funny to a lot of people. And it's something small. This is a microcosm of it, right? We're talking about an NFL playoff game speaking to a larger technological adaptation that some people are willing to make, some people are unwilling to make, and some people, frankly, are just getting phased out. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. How about Dylan in Hermitage next? Hey, Dylan.
Hey, how are you doing, guys?
Good.
Quick question. So I grew up in the Boston area, and I don't know how it was in the this is probably outdating you, but throughout the 80s, you started to see where they would slowly, you could watch everything that was local, but then they started to do blackouts. And that's where I think this started as far as what they're doing now. And they were pissed then, they're pissed now. And their solution was go to the game if you want to see it. And now their solution is buy it if you want to see it. The other night there was and like I said, I'm from the Boston area. There was a Red Sox Cardinals game on that was like 8 or 9-1. The Knights and the Oilers were playing, and they popped them into ESPN2 and kept the baseball game on. It's just the whole provider and what happens. It's whatever they choose, and they don't consider the fans viewing.
Well, they do to a degree, right? They're considering the most amount of people, not the people who have expressed an unwillingness to adapt, right? Because it's not the most amount of people. If the majority of people were saying, no, I won't download Peacock, and no, I won't seek out this playoff game, and we're actually sticking to their guns on that, then yeah, the NFL would and the networks would have to make a course correction. But that's just not been the case. People have shown a willingness that they will go wherever the NFL puts its product, right? They've just had that experiment with Prime. So, and, kind of speaking of the blackouts, do you guys know anything about the Indy 500? Like the way that it's been blacked out on local television in Indianapolis, in the place that it matters most consistently year in and year out. They black it out on a regular basis, and that's been the rule for decades. There's been exceptions in a year here or a year there, but now every time you Google up where can I watch the Indy 500, it presents you a bunch of streaming options and all these different things because they don't put it on local television in Indianapolis. When the only thing that matters in Indiana is Indiana basketball and IndyCar until Peyton Manning came to the Colts. And really, even then, the Colts are more of a fad than the other two. So this is something that I think sports fans of a certain generation have been dealing with for some time, and this is just the next iteration of it, right? It's next-gen blackouts. Harmon in Nashville is next. Hey, Harmon.
Hey, guys. Something that I haven't heard talked about is the fact that a lot of people, including myself, because I'm a Bills fan living in Nashville, go to bars to watch these games. Mm-hmm. And now, even with YouTube TV, a lot of the bars have used the NFL, not the NFL Network, but the
Sunday Ticket.
Oh my God! Yeah, the Sunday Ticket to broadcast the games in the bars. Well, now it's going to YouTube TV. a lot of these bars aren't going to be able to get these games. And so that's going to hurt their business because people that go to the bars to watch the games out of market are now going to have to stay home, go to friends' houses, watch YouTube TV, etc.
Right, but hurts whose business? Wait, Harmon, who hurts whose business? The NFL or the bar?
No, the bar, not the NFL.
Right.
The NFL, I mean, the NFL is exempt from this, but the bars are going to be a very interesting. They're going to hurt. I mean, I'm sure it's going to hurt their business.
So it's that kind of adaptation, right?
Yeah, they'll just have to figure it out like everybody else.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll show the games.
Right. They'll find ways to show the games, and the NFL will present them with options. If it's not Sunday ticket, it's something else.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about running a business to know if that could be a write-off, right? I don't know if sports bars can write off those cable bills or streaming. I have no clue.
I mean, I do. I don't know why they couldn't, but
right. So, like that, this was a concern for soccer fans, especially in MLS fans, like markets like Portland, where it's huge. The Timbers are huge. Seattle, the Sounders have a huge fan base. Okay, can I still go to the bar to watch my game, even though it's not on Fox or ESPN? And they quickly figured it out. Yes, you can.
Well, but think about this. So, like, let's make this hyper local. The Preds television deal has them blacked out locally when they're on ESPN Plus, right? That the recent addition of the NHL or recent reacquiring of the NHL by ESPN, because they're trying to drive more live sports rights, more subscribers to ESPN Plus. They had success with it during the pandemic in UFC because it was one of the few live sporting events that was on. It's a huge revenue generator for them on the digital side where they hadn't had that. Now, with the Preds, when they're on ESPN Plus, what happens locally? They're blacked out.
Yeah, I watch every Preds game on Bally Sports.
So, well, I do too because I have Bally Sports. Yes. But if they're not on Bally, are you going to seek out the Preds? Some people will.
I don't pay for Bally Sports. I sign in with my girlfriend's mother's TV credentials.
Well, that's one way to do it. And I'm sure there's a contingent. I've never had to do that.
Happy Mother's Day.
That's like when
Diane.
Happy Mother's Day.
She's a lovely lady.
You see Netflix is cracking down on password sharing and stuff like that, which is hilarious because it creates some of the most awkward interactions. Like, say you've lived with somebody, or you've dated somebody, or you've been married to somebody, you've recently split up, divorced, separated, whatever, but you still got the Netflix password. Then you have to send that awkward text. Hey, you've been using the Netflix account?
But did they go back on that? Like, didn't they say that by the end of X day, it was like by the end of March or something, that you can only X amount of devices can use the same account, but then that ended up being not a thing.
I think research showed that like people have multiple TVs in their house. So like if they wanted to sign into something, like they say they have 2 TVs in their house and then they also watch it on their work computer.
They're not going to create separate logins for separate.
Yeah, it was too much for them to crack down on.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be damn near like you can limit the amount of different places that you can be logged in. And that be a certain kind of a method, but you can't police that effectively.
You'll never stop me. I hadn't paid for streaming ever. I've been rocking with free passwords my whole life. I'll make 1 million free emails. I'll make 1 million fake ones. I will never pay for this, ever.
But like, there's plenty of people who are saying that, but Bird is still going to go out of his way to watch these things. And these people are alleging that they'll stop watching it. To which I would say there's probably some effect on that, right? Where we're all, I mean, we've never existed, the three of us, in a time where there was only like 5 channels or 4 channels on television. Like, that's not something that we collectively can relate to. But when you fracture more things, when you fracture more viewing habits and all these things, you're just going to have a smaller, a less condensed audience that may end up impacting how passionate some people are about their sports teams, because you've made it harder. You've made it harder on people to find the thing that they want. And if you make it hard enough to where they don't want to mess with it, then they're going to stop messing with it to a degree. And maybe they're still a sports fan. Maybe they'll still go from time to time. But maybe that passion starts to get affected because you've just added an extra step for them to be able to consume the thing that they want.
You didn't go to grandma's house and she only had like whatever basic cable, 8 channels.
Oof.
I don't think so.
You used to be watching CW, like some janky cartoons like Mind Quest. You guys ever watch Mind Quest?
No, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But CW was Warner Brothers for the longest because I remember Saturday morning cartoons being a thing, like Digimon and Pokemon. And
Shut up! You are not relatable right now.
What do you mean?
No, I can't believe it. You watched Pokemon, Digimon.
He was saying you are not relatable right now, as in like in amazement that you are being relatable.
Oh,
he's like, you are not actually being relatable right now. That's what he.
I was despite being 65 my entire life, Bert, I was at one point a child.
I can't believe you weren't just like watching C-SPAN, like calling in trying to ask governors questions and stuff.
Well, you guys, I think I got a laugh out of both of you yesterday when I called you for. I was having a bit of a moment of inspiration, shall we call it? I called both of them separately. And then I had to tell Bert that I was watching a DVR'd episode of Meet the Press from 3 weeks ago while I had 6 notebooks in front of me, scribbling down things like a crazy person while I tried to plan this live show on Saturday.
You were manic.
Just slightly.
Manic the Press.
Boo.
Yeah.
Colt in Memphis
Nobody
is next.
said I'm good all the time.
Well, I would like it to be occasionally, all of the time.
Wait till I scare you.
He's not Nikola Jokic. He can't go 70%.
Oh my God, that guy is a marvel.
Wasn't that insane?
I wish that we could talk about basketball in a way that people would care, because I love the fact that the most unstoppable thing in the NBA looks like a loaf of bread.
He was unbelievable.
That is what the ideal body type is for men.
Oh, God.
Like it or not,
you can't do anything about it.
That's the standard.
Built like that.
Colt in Memphis is next. Hey, Colt.
Hey guys, along this same subject, on Twitter the other day, Todd Furman, and I think he was being somewhat serious, said, "Get ready, it's coming. The Super Bowl is eventually going to be on pay-per-view." So, one, do you think that is really a possibility in the next, let's say, 10 years? And two, I mean, can you imagine the uproar and what your radio show will look like the next day that's announced?
Well, here's what I'll say, Colt. Can I envision it? Sure. Present me an option that the NFL can make more money than they are already currently making, and tell me if I can envision it. The answer to all of your questions is money. Just in life, typically, money. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, we can look at what's happening societally and say, yeah, sometimes just unchecked capitalism, not the best thing for the greater health. But the NFL is masterful in the way that they can find additional revenue streams. Because Lucas brought up the scenario earlier, right? The Apple TV concept, the Apple TV partnership with MLS, where all the MLS games are in one place. You do one big deal. Now, this is
a 10-year, $1.5 billion deal.
Yeah.
Like for MLS. Now think about how big that number could look for the National Football League.
Right. It would be unsustainable, because at a certain point, some of these dollar amounts are going to get unsustainable. We're talking about pricing people out of the new Titans Stadium with some of these things. Imagine pricing networks out of your rights. That's kind of what that is the one thing that I think could cause the NFL problems down the line. Because you're saying a how much billion dollar deal?
1.5 for Major League Soccer and Apple TV.
And how much did Amazon pay on a per game basis for Thursday Night Football last year?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
North of $78 million.
Per game.
Per game. Colts Broncos cost them $78+ million. Think about that. So like that number might be possible, but like you would almost have to do, Fox and like CBS would have to do like a revenue split on something like that to share the burden of that cost of what it would take for them to get NFL games at a certain rate. Kyle in Nashville's next. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, guys. So I think the age gap thing is definitely a factor, but I work in tech and I'm only 30, and it's still tedious to me to have to jump through hoops just to watch a game. So unless it's the Titans and I actually want to go out of my way to watch that game, if it's just a wild card game, I'm going to go to a bar and do it before I go through a whole sign-up process. And, you know, I think the thing that people are just annoyed by is just the fact that everything is scattered right now and it's all in 10 different places. So hopefully it moves back to one place, but then it's just cable, right? So
yeah,
that's all I had to say.
No, I mean, that's the larger point, right? That was a complaint that I think I read earlier in the chat. Well, I pay for all these streaming services. I just wish they put them all together. Okay.
Like, it'd be great if YouTube TV could come together with Amazon. And, hey, let's work something out here so all the Amazon games get streamed on YouTube.
Xfinity just looking around like, guys, what the bleep? you had this fun little affair with YouTube TV. Come on home. I'm fascinated to see if the NFL, like how the NFL manages this next wave, because it's all experimental, of course, but they're experimenting with a very, very valuable property. So it's less of an experiment than you think and more about a trial basis of, okay, this might ruffle a few people, but is it going to ruffle enough people to cause us problems? And the answer is probably no. Like, the answer is probably no. Because for as many times, so if they start doing, and this is, of course, a ridiculous proposition until it's not. But let's say the AFC just decides, like college conference style. Okay, we're going to put all of our games on Peacock. You're going to go to a bar every time you want to watch an AFC football game? Or are you going to finally grit your teeth, bitch about having to put your email and come up with a new password for your new Peacock subscription and sit on your couch and do it that way? Because what ultimately ends up being the larger inconvenience? The inconvenience of you having to get up and go somewhere every time you want to watch a football game? Or that one time it's going to take you to plug your email into an app? Cheeseburger will wrap things up for this segment before we update some polls. Hey, Cheeseburger.
Hey, what's going on, Buck? How you doing today?
Good, bud.
I'm doing good, too. This NFL, streaming games on Peacock and all that stuff. I watched some of the Sunday Night Football games last year on the Peacock app. I kind of like it. I enjoy that. It switches up there because Major League Baseball, they do that stuff on Sundays. They'll put a game on the Peacock app on Sundays, like 11:30 or something like that. But yeah, I like watching. Like, I watch WWE pay-per-views on the Peacock app, so I like it. But I don't think the bar's gonna lose out on money, but I like them streaming games on the Peacock app. And also, if you're interested, Buck, they got a movie coming out on Hulu this weekend. It's a new one, White Man Can't Jump.
Excellent. The remake.
And then also, Buck, hey, you are a joy to listen to, and I would love to come in the studio one day and sing you a rap song live. Let's go, baby. It's the Buck Horizon show all day, every day. How about the Cheeseburger, Buck, and Penzinka show? Oh, yeah, Monday through Friday. Yeah, let's go, baby. Tighten up. It's Titan Nation this year. Tighten up. The 9 and 9. Buck Horizon.
He said, the 9 and 9. I love that he made it the Cheeseburger, Panzika, and Buck show.
Yeah,
and then
no love for Bert.
Bert's back there bouncing around, dancing to the music, then just catches a stray in the side.
That's cool with me. If you do not let that man come up here and rap, I'm quitting.
Oh.
You might kill two birds with one stone.
That's tempting.
Get two birds stoned at once.
Does that keep me from being jump scared every time I walk into the office?
No, I would stalk you.
You're never safe. You're never safe from that.
You want me to have this job, so I have to have responsibilities. If I lost this job, I would do nothing but scare you.
It's life's mission.
Just knocking on your window at night, throwing little rocks, holding a boombox, playing whatever rap Cheeseburger just did there at you.
You're in the shower and you just see like letters being formed on the steam on the glass from the outside of the shower door. Boom. Like that movie. What is it? The Invisible Man.
There you go.
So if the install thing on Saturday goes well, we can do a live show that has fun things that the radio show has, like Cheeseburger making an appearance and doing a rap, or Josh Pate. Potential. I haven't talked to Pate about this, so let me not volunteer him for anything that we haven't talked about previously. But like the idea of Josh Pate doing college football trivia with me in front of a live audience,
be fun.
Would that not be compelling to watch me fall on my face that way? These are things that we're talking about. It's why you should come to the install to make sure we show our bosses how well we can do stuff like this. Like we did the bowling event last year, absolutely kicked ass on it. I know Saturday night's going to be an incredible time. And we can't wait to have you guys out there as well. 1045thezone.com if you haven't got your tickets to the live show this Saturday at the Hutton Hotel. Polls are next. What's the context, Bert?
You know, some of these older people, they're sad that time's passing them by. Sometimes your favorite games, they aren't on the channels you want. And sometimes your favorite teams are blacked out. And sometimes you just feel like an old violin to be played once and never played again.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
He's just good enough to be a bad singer, right?
The best.
No,
I would
not
be the best.
The
best worst singer.
You would be the best bad singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Sometimes I feel like an old violin.
It's a great song.
Oh, why? You under too much duress back there? What's wrong? What happened to you? What slights in your life? What slights have been levied against you that you feel like an old violin?
Was it Ray that called in about his granddaughter's high school game that he had to download an app?
Mm-hmm.
I, too, would feel like I'm 27 years old, and I would feel like an old violin if I had to download a random app just to pay to get in to watch my granddaughter play a game.
Well, if you were as old as you are now and you have a granddaughter,
that would be a problem.
It would be a problem. I don't know how mathematically that would work out.
We would be, well, there are ways. We would be asking much more serious and significant questions than... There's no graceful way for me to transition in and out of that. I don't know.
You're no Mickey Ryan.
No, you're not.
I even think Mickey. No, I'm not. Certainly not. But I don't even think Mickey could do that well.
Nah, you're seriously doubting Mickey's transition skills. He is the king of transitions,
and he does it on a dime too. And you know they may make you giggle because they're hokey and corny, but like Mickey will always have some way to pivot.
Yeah, he's so good.
And like there are some moments where I'm just staring at a blank stare at the camera saying, yeah, I don't know how to do this. Let's move on to the next thing.
Schaefer has texted us. He appreciates the Johnny Paycheck shout out that we came back with. By the way, you can hang out with Schaefer and the rest of the Ramon, Kayla, and Will crew tonight. I believe there are still tickets available. The bundle on 1045thezone.com.
It's a great deal.
To go to the soccer game tonight, $35 I think it is. You get a ticket. You get to hang out with Ramon, Kayla, and Will. You get an NSC/Ramon, Kayla, and Will branded hat with their new logo.
Sick.
And you get to go and take a picture on the field postgame.
Now, tell the audience why you're being so generous with plugging Ramon, Kayla, and Will's event.
Now that's a transition.
There it is.
7:30 kickoff tonight. Nashville SC hosts Inter Miami. These two came into the league together as expansion teams in 2020. Miami had all the glitz and glamour and flash, owned by David Beckham, signed these European stars. Nashville took a more foundational approach, and Nashville certainly had the more successful expansion years than Miami.
He just went full soccer snob on Miami. Did you see that, Bert?
Tonight,
I picked up on that.
They are two of the hottest teams in the league. Miami's won 5 in a row. Nashville's unbeaten in 6. It's a 7:30 kickoff at Geodis Park. We are on the air pregame at 7 p.m. on The Zone. You can watch on Apple TV with the option to listen to the radio broadcast. And if you are a Sirius XM carrier in your vehicle, we will be on Sirius XM FC.
So if you missed any of that during that extensive plug, Lucas is telling you to hang out with Ramon, Kayla, and Will so you can also be a part of the soccer game that he's calling.
Bring your headphones.
Polls.
All right, Dan. I reckon I'll talk about a poll update. This is Carl Childers. There's a young
Stop
fella.
laughing in the background.
I think he's got the final numbers. Here's the producer of the Buck Rising show. A feller named Lucas Panzeker. Got any mustard and biscuits?
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, who sells below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? Jamie says asking the baseball player how he feels on Mother's Day about his mother who passed away. This was a Red Sox player was doing one of those live interviews in game. The first baseman, whose name is escaping me right now.
Still. That's big yikes. I would say Joel Embiid blaming everybody but himself and James Harden after both of them were absolute hot trash in a Game 7.
The answer is Ja Morant, though, right? Like, he is the dumbest thing in sports. We already talked about it.
Ja is absolutely the dumbest thing in sports. If we didn't lead with it on Monday, it would have made a substantial appearance. It still found its way into the dumbest thing in sports this week because he's coming up with regurgitated statements that he's basically already used and now nobody believes.
Continuing to work on myself. Like, you don't even have to work on yourself. Just stop flashing a gun every time a camera is in front of you.
Or maybe just, do IG Live less. Maybe just a little IG Live.
Well, that really wasn't his statement, so he doesn't feel that way anyway.
It's not his statement, nor does he know that statements are being made on his behalf. He's just driving around listening to Lil Yachty waving his gun in the air.
What are your expectations of Treylon Burks in year 2? Mahogany goes 900 yards, 5 touchdowns. Jelly Roll, not the real Jelly Roll. This appears to be. It is the real Jelly Roll.
That's the real Jelly.
His blue checkmark thing is messing with me, man. He says healthy. Jelly Roll says stay healthy.
I need to call Jelly. It's been a while. Yes, he is correct.
I was going to fine you there, but I'll let it go.
No, that's a legitimate statement.
Fair.
I haven't talked to my friend in a while. I would like to call him.
What did Mike Vrabel mean at the start of the offseason when he said the Titans need to get faster?
You can't find me every time I mention the name of somebody who's got a platform just because I happen to know some of these people.
No, but you don't happen to know some of them. Like, you just name drop them just to insinuate and say that you've been in the same room as them.
The Cliff Kingsbury thing was different.
Yeah, it added absolutely nothing to the conversation. You just wanted people to know that you have crossed paths with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
What did Mike Vrabel mean when he said they need to get faster? Dylan says too slow and too old.
Too slow and too old? Wait, what sense does that make?
He says Mike Vrabel was saying that they were too slow and too old last year.
I think that Mike Vrabel, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but I think the way that people took it is not the way that Mike Vrabel meant it, is all I will say to you. That means you'll have to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Which member of the show would last the longest in a Mike Vrabel sled day? Buck, Bert, or me? 46% say me. 28% say Buck. 26% say Bert.
It's not even close. It's me.
Oh, come on.
Are you kidding me?
It's me. Oh, well, you lose a bunch of weight now and suddenly you can ride with the big dogs on sled day?
No, not with the big dogs, with you two. You two are anything but big dogs. You getting a gym membership for the first time in the last, 3 years. I've been out here running hill sprints, bro. I will dust you.
What do you weigh, like 90 pounds at this point? I don't even know if you can push a sled.
You keep losing all that weight, man. And also, I think you're really downgrading the amount of power that I can generate with my lower half.
I think Bert is the pick here, if I'm being totally honest.
It's not about the power. You have to be able to move the sled more than once. It's not just one sled push to win it all. It's multiple sled pushes.
Give me a sled. We'll do it in the parking lot.
The people have spoken.
We can't do it in a parking lot. None of us will move the sleds, and we'll all just end up with scraped knees.
Is Malik Willis on the Titans 53-man roster week 1? 64% are saying no.
What the hell is this? What the hell is this 40 with the rest of this percentage? 40?
36%.
36?
36% say yes.
Math.
Good math by you.
Math.
You didn't get it right either, and you have the numbers in front of you.
Yeah. Those are the polls.
We're all idiots. We'll do it again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be better. Probably not. See ya.